Hey everybody, Derek here from Badgerland Birding. I have a really cool story for you today. There was a bird that was thought to be lost for 140 years. It sounds like it was first discovered. People haven't really seen it since in Papua New Guinea. And so we're going to go through this Audubon article that details it. Really exciting. It's titled like Finding a Unicorn, Researchers Rediscover the Black-naped Pheasant-pigeon, a bird lost science for 140 years. Like 140 years is an insane amount of time to not see something, to be like, this exists, and then we didn't see it for over 100 years. So it's in order to look at where we're above Australia here in Papua New Guinea. So this is where we're at right here. And it sounds like they did an expedition. So a successful trip to Papua New Guinea captured photos and videos of the chicken-sized pigeon, highlighting the value of local ecological knowledge. Scientists seek out other long missing species. So here's the video of this black-naped pheasant pigeon. And they actually got like crazy good looks at this thing on the trail cameras. So for those of you not really familiar with trail cameras or camera traps, it's basically like a camera they set up in the woods with an SD card in it, and it'll capture stuff when it sees movement. So it will detect motion, then it'll record. So they put these out so they don't have to be monitoring 24/7. So it says, for a month, the researchers traveled slender mountain ridges, crossed and recrossed rivers that roared through canyons cloaked in tropical forest, endured bloodthirsty mosquitoes and leeches, all in the search for something that probably didn't exist. Well, thanks to them for doing all that work. So they had just hours left for searching before they had to leave Ferguson Island off the east coast of Papua New Guinea. Expedition co-leader Jordan Boersma reckon their chance of success was less than 1%. So basically, they were going through, they looked at the camera traps, and they saw this bird that was, presumed gone. So he says, it was without exaggeration one of the most surreal moments of my life. Camera's display was tiny, but there was no mistaking the creature. It showed the black-naped pheasant pigeon, species that hasn't been documented by scientists since it was first described in 1882. So that's insane. John C. Mittermeier said, to find something that's been gone for so long, they think is almost extinct, and then to figure out it's not extinct, it feels like finding a unicorn or Bigfoot. I would imagine that must be an incredible feeling. It's extraordinarily unusual. So this was in late September. Could not have happened without guidance from local hunters with intimate knowledge of the island's forests. Researchers say demonstrating the invaluable role of indigenous communities in ongoing efforts to relocate species lost to Western science. This is something that really bothers me when people from the outside come in and they act like they just rediscover these species or they find something without any local knowledge. Like the locals will normally know if something's there or not. And so for people to come in and just act like they did it all on their own is really misleading. And I hate it when people do that. So I'm really glad that they gave acknowledgement to the locals that, helped find this bird again and probably knew that it was there the whole time. With its existence confirmed, it's almost certainly the most endangered bird in New Guinea, which underscores the need to protect its habitat on Ferguson, a rugged 555 square mile island, while largely undeveloped, faces pressures from logging companies. So hopefully they're able to preserve that. Here's a picture of a couple of the people with, it looks like a poster with the bird on it. So this is a huge discovery, says Belisa Ayeva. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. An expedition member, acting chief curator of the National Museum and Art Gallery in Papua New Guinea. I've studied birds for many years, and to be part of this team to discover this lost species is a highlight for me. So it's part of a thing called the Search for Lost Birds, a collab between BirdLife International, Wild, and American Bird Conservancy, which funded the trip. That sounds like an awesome product. I'd love to go on those trips to look for lost birds. That sounds incredible. The initiative aims to rediscover more than 150 avian species that haven't been declared extinct, but also have not been seen for at least a decade. Awesome mission. Love the project. I'm so excited to see updates from more of this stuff. But it's tough because once you find something, like it's almost certainly almost gone. So protecting these things is incredibly important. So it says a chicken-sized ground-dwelling pigeon, the black-naped pheasant pigeon, was among around 20 lost birds that have not been seen or documented for more than a century. It's one of 4 pheasant pigeon species found around New Guinea, which lives only on Ferguson Island. So it does say some authorities consider the 4 varieties to be subspecies. So, I mean, if they could get some kind of genetic sample, they could do genetic testing to try to find it out. which is another topic in itself of like how split our species going to be with genetics and other things like that, that are harder to tell apart. Because as a birder, it's already really frustrating when two things like look exactly the same and you're trying to figure out which one you're looking at because genetics say that they're two different species. This is the team traveling. And then it says Boersma previously searched for black-knit pheasant pigeon in 2019 with Jason Gregg, a conservation biologist and Audubon magazine contributor. Local biologist Doka Nason. Well, the trio did not find the bird. They did turn up 5 bird species that previously weren't known to live on Ferguson, but suggested there were gaps in what ornithologists knew. When they spoke with hunters, they heard reports of a bird whose description could only belong to the pheasant pigeon. So it seems like they did know. Researchers returned to Ferguson with a larger team, determined to establish trust and work with the island's indigenous inhabitants to find the species. Day after day, they hiked, so they kept hiking. Hunters in the first few communities were unfamiliar with the large bird, but when the team reached the remote western slope of Mount Kilkerran, they began to meet villagers who recognized the species and referred to the name Awo. So it does seem like the further you go, that the locals did have knowledge that this was around. This video is super cool. I'm assuming this is when they got the picture. So it says Jordan Boersma, just Doka Nason, an image of the pheasant pigeon.
Hit the side arrow. Doka.
That's so cool.
It's Owl. Isn't it Owl? We can't tell them. We have to have them look through the photos too. We did it.
That's so awesome. You can just feel the energy.
Oh, man, this is the hip. Oh man, Eva. Oh my god. Oh man, just can you display it back? Man, my legs are shivering. I can't believe it. God.
Wow.
Jordan, that's an owl.
That's so cool. Finally, in the village of Duda Ununa, a hunter named Augustin Gregory told researchers we had seen the bird, described a call that matched those of New Guinea's other pheasant pigeon species, which don't live on Ferguson. That must have been so exciting to get that news. And he showed the team an area ridge of 3,200 feet above sea level, covered in thick vegetation, where their motion-triggered camera traps were likely to snap the elusive bird. Nason, who grew up in Papua New Guinea, near Ferguson, and who Boersma described as the most impressive field biologist I've worked with anywhere, selected a spot and set up the camera. This vantage limited by dense understory, the site wasn't a typical one for a camera trap, but the scientists say, but the images proved it was the right one. Unmistakable. Greg, an expedition co-leader, says the first time seeing the photos, tons of mixed emotions, everything from solemn relief for burden to fist pumping and screaming. One day later, with time to scroll through everything the traps captured, did the team realize that another camera recorded video of a pheasant pigeon. Given the images were taken several kilometers apart, they almost certainly show 2 individuals. That's super exciting. So here's another image, which is likely the second one. So they know it exists. So now they're working on keeping the species from going extinct. So that's a lot of responsibility if you basically rediscover a species and then you kind of feel responsible for saving it. Logging by international corporations appear to be a growing threat, and introduced predators such as feral cats can take a toll on the pheasant pigeon as they have on other endemic island birds. Freaking feral cats. Sustaining the long-lost species will require learning more about its behavior and population status, launching conservation projects, all with Ferguson Island residents in a leading role. Knowing what we know about bird extinction conservation islands around the world, we can expect that the combination of logging and introduced species is going to have an impact. This land and the fate of any conservation work that happens on this island is completely up to the communities that live there and own the land. Beyond the islands, the rediscovery raises hopes that future expeditions will turn up species lost science, but known all along the local experts. That's what I'm talking about. The way this was always going to work is that we just really lean into local knowledge, put our faith in local partners. That's what delivered this incredible moment for us. Really awesome story. Love to see news like this. Hopefully they're able to get that conservation work in motion and preserve this species so we can see more stuff like this. And I'm hoping to get more fist pumping excitement videos from these projects. What do you guys think about this? pretty amazing. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.